Appreciate you streaming in here on Birds 365. You got McMullen, McDonald, and there he is out on the roads of Philadelphia. He's heading to a golf course, I can guarantee you that. Is our boy John Clark from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Johnny Clark, do you have a blue check mark on X?
I do not believe so. I know it was taken away, so I heard you, Jody, a second ago. I don't care about the blue check mark anymore. It was nice for a while, but I have been stripped.
Good on
By
you.
the way, John, I believe we were all at the Novacare complex when we got stripped. You remember the day we got stripped at waiting? I forget who was talking, but we were all in the auditorium when they took away our blue checks. It was a dark day.
Yeah. We were literally probably one of the few spots in the country where like 40 people all lost their blue check marks within 5 feet of each other.
Who cried the loudest? Who wept? Who went to tears?
Probably Eskin.
Oh, good point. Very good. Johnny Clark, score one for Johnny Sunshine. All right, John, are you ready to go to work? Are you ready to put the summer behind you and show up? Well, you don't have to.
He's always working.
The
Come
Eagles
on.
aren't going to be there every single day. But the amount of days that you are going to have to be down there, are you ready for a new Eagle season?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the passing of the torch. You get through the Sixers, and then you hope the Phillies can keep you going until Eagles training camp. You get some vacation in July. But because of the prospects of this team having a legit shot of going to back-to-back Super Bowls, which is very hard in today's NFL, it is extremely exciting. I can't wait for the reporting day tomorrow, the first day of practice. And, there's certain positions like I want to see what the linebackers look like. I want to see what the safeties look like. We know what most of the other positions look like, but I'm very excited.
You mentioned that back-to-back Super Bowl. It's been very difficult to do in NFL history. I think 8 teams who lost the Super Bowl have made it back. Only 3 of those have won it. The Eagles look like they're set up well, but there's going to be hiccups, John. What's your biggest concern? Personnel, coaching staff changes, handling the expectations, because everybody wants to skip steps. Nick Sirianni's like, whoa. Process. 1 day at a time. Everybody's got him in the NFC Championship game again.
Absolutely. And look, I don't think we can expect the Eagles to start 8-0 like they did last year. I think the biggest concern for me is the overhaul with the coordinators, because you're going to have to do some things differently on defense. I think they're going to be pretty good and have a lot of good chemistry with Brian Johnson moving up. I think that you're going to have, going into the 3rd year of Nick Sirianni's offense, that's the most important part. You've got good continuity on offense, but defensively, I think Sean Desai, seeing what he's able to do as a new coordinator, I'm sure he's going to have some tweaks. Obviously, Nick Sirianni wanted something, and he said something similar to Jonathan Gannon, the way he played defense. But I think the new coordinators, that's the biggest concern, and just staying healthy. They got lucky last year, very lucky, staying real healthy. And so I'm really concerned about being able to stay healthy this year.
All right, John, let's see if you're on the same page with Johnny Mack and I. He and I don't agree on everything. Here's one thing we do kind of agree on. Some people are projecting a new element to the Eagles offense this year is going to be the passing game with the running back, because they added DeAndre Swift, who was very good catching the ball out of the backfield for Detroit. And people are also projecting a expanded role for Kenneth Gainwell this year, and he's a guy who's shown the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. The Eagles were one of the least running back passing using teams in the NFL. They might have been 32nd last year. Do you see a major rise because of a new emphasis for Gainwell or the addition of Swift, that the Eagles are going to become a throw it to a back out of the backfield type team?
Well, that's interesting, because obviously Miles Sanders was more of a number one running back until we started to see Kenneth Gainwell become that guy in the playoffs, especially. And Miles Sanders, he didn't exactly have that club in his bag, being a good pass catcher out of the backfield. Now, I do think you're going to see them attempt it more, but you've got a lot of running backs, and I think they're going to split time. Now, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, they're probably going to get a lot of time, more so than the others, but Rashad Penny, I think they're going to give him a shot to show what he can do with running the football. So I do think you'll see a little bit more of it. I don't think it's going to be huge because you've got to feed Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert. You've got to feed them. And they're your top three. So I think a little bit of an increase. But I think it was mainly last year because Miles Sanders just wasn't that great at it. And he would have some drops. But now you do have two guys who are legit weapons. DeAndre Swift, he's very good at catching the ball out of the backfield. And Kenneth Gainwell, we've seen him have more of a role. So not as much as I think some people are predicting.
John, the running backs as a whole, because we kind of talked about this, some of the beat guys with Nick leading up to training camp. I get the feeling when coaches talk about committees in the backfield, they talk about it because they have to, not necessarily because they want to. In other words, they would prefer a lead back, but you got to find a lead back. You mentioned Miles didn't have that club in his bag. Well, if Rashad Penny's using one club all the time and DeAndre Swift is using one club and Kenny Gainwell's using one club, opposing defenses are going to figure that out. And all of a sudden you're very, very predictable. And then you got a trend bust and you got to have guys doing things they're not comfortable doing. So you want that 3 down back and then sort of have the backup to sort of spell them and take some of the workload off them. But man, you don't want specialists, do you?
No, but in today's NFL, and especially with how you see, I think the Eagles are paying a total of $6 to $7 million for all of their running backs combined. And Miles Sanders is making $5-6 million a year down in Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's incredibly smart what the Eagles and Howie Roseman are doing. I do think that you're right. You can't just put Rashad Penny back there because then they know they're most likely not passing him the football. But I do think with DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell, I do think that they can do all of the things you're looking for. So it won't necessarily let the defense know what's coming. I think they're going to get the majority of the snaps and the reps and the touches. That's my opinion. We saw it last year. Miles Sanders started to be pushed aside a little bit in the playoffs, especially Kenneth Gainwell really got a lot of touches and reps. So I think those are the two guys who are going to see most of the action, and Rashad Penny, mix him in, but keep him healthy. That's the thing. You want to keep Rashad Penny healthy. So maybe limit his touches and reps and maybe save him for later in the season.
Johnny Clark, I'm sure you were there that day. John and I have talked about it plenty here on the show. The head coach going out of his way to pump up Quez Watkins. That even though he wasn't asked about it, he went to the Quez Watkins motivated because he's hearing you guys say he stinks and he busted it in the summer workouts and a Quez Watkins season. Better than last year, worse than last year. The coach is talking him up a blue streak. I'm just not sure. What do you think Quez is looking at in 2023?
I think we're looking at something similar unless there's an injury. You know, that's the one thing we talked about. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Dallas did have an injury, but, your receivers were healthy. And if there was an injury, I could see more production out of Quez Watkins. But I just don't see it. And that's because of the talent they have with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. And then you talked about some of the running backs getting some of the catches out of the backfield.
Oh, we lost Johnny for a
No, we lost
second. We'll
Johnny
see if we
Clark.
can get him back. But he's driving, so it might be difficult. But hopefully.
Hello.
Oh, we got him
All
back.
right.
We
But I
got him
do
back.
think Quez Watkins definitely has a role. You need his speed. You need his speed to maybe take that safety down the field a little bit more, opening it up. You need his speed to stretch the field and keep defenses honest. So I think he does serve a role, but I don't see increased production just because of the talent that's in front of him.
Yeah, you're right. You got to get the ball to the big three first. And I think, John Alameda Zacchaeus, who's a South Jersey kid and went to St. Joe's Prep and all that, he's more of a natural slot receiver. And that will enable Quez to sort of back up A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith on the outside. He's probably better suited to do that. So maybe he's more effective in a lesser role, at least snap wise, with Alameda being here.
Yes, I agree. And let's get the pronunciation. I just want to make sure I'm right because I've practiced it. Zacchaeus?
Alameda Zacchaeus.
I know it's Alameda.
Zacchaeus.
I say Zacchaeus.
Yeah, I think it's Zacchaeus. Johnny Clark's got it right.
All right. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm right because, we're coming off the vacation month. We're getting.
I've been so focused on getting Alameda right. I didn't focus on Zacchaeus or Zacchaeus. So yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Pretty sure it's Keys. I think Johnny Clark's got it right. Yeah. You just, much like previous Eagle, just go with Big O. That's what I'm going to do. If I say I'm going to go with Big O.
No, I want to say, now I'm going to bring it up. Halapuli Bati Baitai. I love saying that.
Nice.
I finally got it down.
Yeah, you don't need to go there. Just go with Big V. Makes your life very easy. All right, John, new coaching staff, and you'll get a chance at some point to talk to them. They'll make them available. They did once during the offseason. It's a pretty big change for the Eagles. If you believe that Sirianni is the man and he's running everything and he's going to coach up his own coaches, then you don't have as much concern. But if you like the guys who are here, who are now elsewhere as head coaches, for you, how big a concern is the coaching staff for some significant changes to the Eagles' success this season?
Well, that is probably my biggest concern, especially Sean Desai, because you look at over the years with Jim Schwartz and Jonathan Gannon, and look, a lot of people disagree with some of the things they did, but for the most part, especially Jim Schwartz, that defense was giving up around 17 points or less a lot of games and keeping the Eagles in games. And it's tougher to call games now with the rules and letting receivers do what they want to do on the field. And look, I think that's my biggest concern, Sean Desai, with the defense, and to see how he is going to put this defense together. Because look, number one, they've got the pass rushers, and then they've got the secondary, but the middle of the defense with the linebackers and safeties, that's concerning to me. Can the Eagles once again get pressure without blitzing? Can they get pressure from the front four, rushing four? Sometimes they've got five up there, but can they continue to get pressure like they did last year? I don't know if they're going to have the sack totals they did last year because they were historic, but pressure is really what matters. Can they continue to do that? If not, he might have to be a little more aggressive, blitzing and doing some different things to get that pressure. So that's my biggest concern, an adjustment with Sean Desai.
Yeah, I mean, and not only is there an adjustment with the coaches, and you also, by the way, John, lose Denard Wilson, lose Nick Rollis. So you have other position coaches gone, first time in Nick's era here in Philadelphia. So you have significant attrition on the defensive coaching staff. And oh, by the way, they lost 7 starters. 5 of them are on defense. They lost Javon Hargrave, TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, Marcus Epps, CJ Gardner-Johnson. 5 out of 11, John. I'm not a math whiz, but that's a pretty significant turnover. And to assume a bunch of unproven guys are all going to hit the ground running, that's when I talk about some of these expectations, at least early in the season. That might be difficult to manage.
I totally agree. I do think the important thing is most of the guys are back on the defensive line, and that is really the engine of the defense, as they say, and that's where you're going to really set the tone on defense, getting that pressure. Hassan Reddick had an epic year coming to Philadelphia, and now you've got Jalen Carter and hopefully Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis in his second year will be better, and hopefully he'll get some more reps. I mean, Jalen Carter, the way people have described him when they see him in person playing for Georgia, not just on TV, but in person, his ability to get off and get pressure, it's amazing. And he's so strong, so strong. I think he's going to be an absolutely huge addition. I think he's going to open it up for the ends, just like last year with Javon Hargrave. Javon was fantastic.
Yeah.
Javon was underrated with the Eagles. But I do think Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and those guys, once again, Brandon Graham kind of in that closer role. Fletcher Cox not playing as many snaps. You know, if you have Fletcher Cox not playing as many snaps, he's more effective. Josh Sweat, I think you've got a lot of numbers up there, and that's where it's going to have to be won, because if they're getting through the line, talk about running backs out of the backfield, opposing running backs, if they're able to catch the ball, that may be trouble with not knowing what we're going to have at linebacker this year, and the safety position as well. But I think if they can get the pressure, the Eagles will have some success on defense. But I do think you could have a rough first month of them all learning Sean Desai's new defense.
I asked John earlier in the show, who is Jalen Carter going to beat badly, maybe even abuse on video in these practices the first 10 days. He went Kelsey on me, which I was surprised.
Well, because of one-on-ones, John knows the defensive linemen are designed to win one-on-ones. You know, and when they get to that, which will be later in camp. By the way, camp is not that big. You saw the schedule, John. It'll be a few days. But when they get to those one-on-ones, yeah, that's what everybody pays attention to. And the offensive line usually gets their, and Jeff Stoutland says this all the time, usually gets their you-know-what handed to them. But that's, that's what it's designed. But people overrate it. So Jody was asking me, who's he going to make a splash on? People are going to rave when they see Jalen Carter one-on-ones. And he's a defensive tackle. So Kelsey's got to deal with it. Yeah. Maybe he takes a maintenance day that day. He's a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
It may very well be the starting right guard, which is going to be who, John Clark?
Well, I'm thinking it's going to be Cam Jurgens. I think you want to have your best five out there. That's always what offensive line coaches are thinking. To me, because Cam Jurgens has been here, he's kind of got a leg up on Tyler, in my opinion. But my guess is Cam Jurgens, if I was to pick one. Now, that might be 60-40 percentage. But, John, what do you think from having been out there seeing what you saw at the OTAs?
Yeah, I think Cam is the guy until he proves otherwise. I do think they hope Tyler Steen can get up to speed pretty quickly because they like those big bodies next to Jason, because Jason's undersized. You don't want undersized right next to each other. So I think they're hopeful, but it's a little bit too much to ask, because remember, Tyler Steen played tackle his entire college career. So not only is he trying to win a job, he's trying to change positions. So that becomes kind of difficult. So I think it's Cam Jurgens.
Jurgens was a center his entire college career. So
yeah, but he's been doing it. Not actually, he was a tight end. He was a tight end. Then he turned into a center. He's played a bunch of different positions. And he's been in the system. He understands Jeff Stoutland. He's cross-trained at guard.
No, that's true.
So he's got a leg up. He's the leader in the clubhouse. We use John's golf references. It's his job to lose, all that kind of stuff. We've been talking to you now for 20 minutes or so, John. We haven't brought up Jalen Hurts. Rewind. This has been all off season for Jody and I. All we talked about last off season was Jalen Hurts. Can Jalen Hurts do this? Can Jalen Hurts do that? Is he going to take the next step? Is he the long-term future? You fast forward to the present, nobody's got any questions about Jalen Hurts. Have you ever seen anything like this? I mean, everybody's like, well, you got this, you got this, you got this to worry about. Nobody's worried about Jalen Hurts. Nobody.
Well, it's absolutely pretty incredible for a guy who was taken in the second round where he was. And then last year, I mean, let's be honest. Last couple years, people have been talking about Russell Wilson possibly being the next quarterback of the Eagles, or Deshaun Watson. I mean, that was legit the talk for like a year. So for Jalen Hurts to erase all doubts, be runner-up MVP, it is just as equally a tremendous ascension as it was a downfall for Carson Wentz. I mean, it is really hard to believe that you could have those two quarterbacks go in complete opposite directions like they did when they were together with the Eagles. But I tell you, going into a third season in Nick Sirianni's offense, we talked about Jalen Hurts not having 2 years in the same offense since high school and playing for his dad. Now he's got 3 years, and we've seen him improve as a passer and a deep ball passer each year from Oklahoma to the Eagles. I don't want to say he can be better, but I do think you can throw the ball a little more and not count on him running as much to try to keep him clean because of his improvements in the passing game. I mean, it was remarkable. It's almost like Tyrese Maxey's improvement as a three-point shooter going in from year one to year two. So to me, it's the work ethic. It's Jalen Hurts putting in the time. And yeah, it is an amazing thing for him to get the contract he got and erase all doubts, be a top, let's say, 4 quarterback in the NFL, top 5 at least. So look, I'm expecting the best. I just want to keep him healthy. We saw what happened in the Bears game last year. So maybe a little bit more throwing the ball this year with the talent you have with the pass catching options.
All right. We know that Dallas Goedert might not believe in the moon landing, but he believes in his quarterback. How are they going to use Dallas? Assuming Goddard is healthy, missing one game rather than a bunch of games in a row like he did last year. Same exact way, split out a little bit more. Maybe they're using him with Stoll, same thing, him split out wide. How do you think Dallas Goedert's role is going to play for the Eagles in this offense this year?
Well, I think going into another year of Nick Sirianni's offense, look, I know Nick Sirianni, he's finding ways, unique ways to get Dallas Goedert involved, get him open. And I think you could see a few more wrinkles this year with Dallas Goedert because he is that skilled with that size and his speed. He is that skilled. So I do think you could see more variations of Dallas Goedert. And when your receivers are covered up a little bit, Dallas Goedert's going to eat even more. That's why I say Quez Watkins, I won't see increased production from him because you've got such talent offensively. I mean, if you were to say right now, Dallas Goedert in the NFL as far as best tight ends, I would have to say top 4, top 3.
Yeah, he's right there. It's Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews, then probably Goddard.
And he was going to be a Pro Bowler if not for the injury.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's amazing. The Eagles had 9 of their 11 starters earn some kind of, on offense, earn some kind of postseason honor, whether it was Pro Bowl, All-Pro, Pro Bowl alternate. One of the two, it was Dallas Goedert and Quez Watkins. So obviously Dallas, if he didn't get hurt, would have been a Pro Bowl player, and then he would have had 10 of 11. That's how good the Eagles offense was last season.
And what's impressive to me is only A.J. Brown is a free agent acquisition or a trade. He's the only guy that wasn't drafted on offense. They traded for A.J. All the other guys are drafted.
Yeah, pretty amazing season and a tremendous personnel built up by Howie Roseman. I want to let you go. I see you got to go. At J. Clark, NBCS, John. Last one from me. Follow John on X, not Twitter. And he's still the same guy, even without the blue check mark. NBC 10, 6 and 11. Does a tremendous job. He'll be down covering the Eagles Tuesday, Wednesday. You TV guys get in there for that first. We don't get to go to reporting day anymore, John. They keep us out.
We don't get to go to reporting
Oh,
day
you don't
tomorrow.
get to go to report? I thought they let you guys in.
No, and I tell you, John and Jody, I miss those days going up to Lehigh. You would be there when Andy Reid would arrive with his big Bahama Mama shirt, and then you'd want to see you wanted to see who had the biggest flat screen. You wanted to see who had the biggest, newest Xbox. It was cool when they had to arrive carrying all of their stuff. To
the old school dorms. If you go way back to Westchester, I covered the Vikings Mankato State. Yeah, you'd have the college kids helping the players with all their stuff to move into dorm rooms. That would not fly today, John Clark. That would not fly today with these particular players. Nakobe Dean. I talked about the quarterback of the offense, the quarterback of the defense. We saw him play 34 snaps last year because TJ Edwards stayed healthy. Kaiser White stayed healthy. Now he's the leader. He's the Jalen Hurts of the defense, man. He's the one out there directing traffic.
Well, I know. And look, I saw him this week. He was in a charity golf event that I was in. He literally probably had 12 Georgia logos on his hat, his golf shirt, his golf shirt, shorts, his sneaks. Now, when I see Nakobe Dean in person, and I'm sure you feel the same way, John, he is not big at all.
No.
He does
I
not
tell fans that, and they get mad. What do they want me to lie to them? Here, you're getting it from John Clark. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and look, it's a concern. The size is a concern, but when you see the way he's able to hit, when you see his movement, he's an incredibly smart player. And look, at Georgia, Jordan Davis and the guys gobbled everybody up on the line, but Nakobe Dean, that is going to be a big question mark, and that is going to be a big thing to watch at camp. Can he take over, like you said, calling the defense, be the quarterback of the defense, and with his size, be able to be successful in the running game at linebacker? I think he's got all the other skills. But that is a big question mark, and that's why linebacker and safety, that's one of the big things to watch for me at this camp.
Yeah, I'm on record. Don't sweat the size. He's going to be a tackling machine for the Eagles this year. All right, Johnny Clark, where are you playing today? Where are you going to be hitting them long and strong? So,
thanks. I lost you for a second, but thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You got it, John.
Thanks, Sean.
Didn't find out where John's playing today. He's in another charity golf tournament.
I meant to ask him if he had any good takeoff guests coming up as well. Didn't get to that.
We'll
but
unfortunately,
the podcast. Listen to the podcast as well. Takeoff with John Clark. So
check him out on X. That's where you'll find out who John's going to be having next. That's where got to be on X.
I hate calling a guy the richest guy in the world a goofball, but I'm going to do it. Elon Musk is a goofball. There, I said.
And he's also a bit of an egomaniac because he likes to change everything and flex his muscles, his financial muscles. But if you got it, you do what you want with it. All right, what we got left is 10 minutes. We'll come back, put a bow on the show here on Birds 365.